The title of my project is Type in My Environment, and my research question is, how can I create a narrative using found typography from my daily habits in Athens, Greece? Concept development. My concept development started with drawing ideas and inspiration from my first module. One of my favourite projects was creating typography from found objects within my home for a chosen poem. Throughout the contemporary practice module, I took an interest in type and my environment, gaining inspiration from my everyday life here in Athens. This was the path I chose to take in my self-initiated project. I started off with wanting to create type from an area of Athens and from found objects, overheard conversations, and things I caught on camera. The project became very broad and I didn't have a specific meaning for creating the project. I then looked into my time in Greece and my experience with being a Brit in a Mediterranean country. How have I been able to create my identity over here? I looked at my identity before I arrived in Athens. I was a strict vegan. This was quickly changed when I started my job as a live-in nanny who didn't understand veganism. I became a vegetarian because I was unable to read the food packages to see what I was eating and if dairy was an ingredient. This rocked me and I began to feel lost. The control I once had no longer existed. Therefore, I decided to focus on Greek food packages and find a way of creating a unique archive of letters that reflected the language barrier of being a Brit living in Greece and how I can create my own identity whilst living here. How it has evolved over the last 4 weeks. My work has become more refined and focused over the past 4 weeks. I began extremely broad with my ideas with a lot of things to work with, and then as the weeks went past and speaking with teachers and students about my project, the idea began to narrow down and become more focused on becoming a self-identity project and something that reflected my present moment and location. My research question developed and changed over the weeks from how can I create a narrative using found typography from my unique neighbourhood to how can I create a narrative using found typography from my daily habits in Athens, Greece. Success and failure. I feel the success I had with this project came from finally finalising my idea and narrative, which came in the 3rd week of the project. Before this, I was floating around ideas that made sense but with no focus or direction. I was making the English alphabet for no specific reason. Another success was the variety of materials I used and different letters I created with the food packaging I collected. This was very exciting to create, so many versions of different letters and even with the same package and see something fresh. I loved exploring and working with the Greek alphabet. A failure would be not having a direction from the beginning. I lost precious time developing my letters and collecting material because I procrastinated and doubted my ideas and process. Final outcome. So far, I feel my final outcome is exciting and fresh and offers me new inspiration and insight into future projects with typography. To have this in my personal archive is really inspiring and motivates me to make more. I could create a small publication from my experiences of finding myself in a new country. There are so many things I could see myself creating with these letters and pushing it further. What would I do differently? I would organise myself more at the beginning of the project and do more field research. I think collecting all material from the beginning, creating and writing all my ideas down straight away would have helped move the project forward more efficiently. I would also record my every move and thought process. Drawing sketches or making prototypes was difficult as I didn't know exactly what I would be creating for my final outcome. Therefore, I would record all my process so far and look back at everything to come further in my project. Only then, with a specific direction and final idea, would I make sketches and a prototype. I would go less with the flow of the project, like I usually work. I would do more planning and work methodically.